Welcome back to the show, everyone. We're about to do a story on the two Major League Baseball teams I hate more than any other Major League Baseball team. The Houston Astros, who are a bunch of cheating cheaters, and the Oakland A's, which had a guy with, the anti-Semitic Hail Hitler salute last week wasn't enough. Now these two teams are playing each other. It resulted in a bench-clearing brawl. Babcock has the information.
Yeah, well, you might like this, Evan, because they were beating the hell out of each other. So last night, A's-Astros playing each other. Seventh inning, the Astros pitcher, Humberto Castellanos, beamed Ramon Laureano, was a really good player for the Oakland A's. And then things got super heated. Watch this video. It's undescribable, but there were some punches thrown, and people were really PO'd.
Laureano bats.
Laureano gets hit again. That's the second time. Now he's pointing at Castellanos. It looked like a breaking ball.
Yeah.
So look out, folks. This is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. Laureano sprinted toward the dugout, and this is not good, folks.
This is bad for several reasons. Number one, violence is never great. And number two, we're in the middle of a COVID pandemic.
Hello, somebody. And listen, you can feel the stress from the announcer. He's like, this is not a good idea. This is not a good. He was like stressed out, like, guys, what are you doing? But I feel his stress too. So it's what are we doing? I understand fighting is normal in baseball, but right now it's a pandemic. Can we just all get along?
Well, yeah, because and baseball had made it so clear to their players and managers, we do not want you fighting. And if you do fight, there will be serious consequences. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see now how baseball responds, because they set a precedent here and they said no fighting, and the Astros and A's clearly didn't listen.
What do you think the A's player was shouting to the Astros bench? Do you think he was calling them just a bunch of cheaters? Do you think the Astros were cheating back at him? That's fine. We might be cheaters, but at least we didn't salute Hitler last week.
Oh my God.
You think that's what we're saying to each other?
Who would have thought the Astros would have the moral high ground?
Look out, folks. This is not a good idea.
All right, moving on to basketball, where Phoenix Suns star DeAndre Ayton was scrambling to get a last-minute COVID test so he could join his team in a very important game against the Oklahoma City Thunder on Monday. Of course, the Suns are still very much alive. They're in the running to clinch that 8th seed and make the postseason in the NBA. All the players were supposed to be tested for COVID on Sunday for Monday's game, but Ayton missed his test. For some reason, I don't know what happened. I mean, they're in that bubble. There's not that much to do. Just wake up and walk down the way and go get your test. But he missed it and was left scrambling Monday morning before the game to get a test. It was one of those rapid results tests. So he had to not only get tested, but then he had to wait for the results to come back. And then once they came back, if it was negative, he had to race over to the court to try and check in the game. And that's exactly what happened. He took a last-minute test on Monday. He tested negative, ran over to the court, and by the time he got there, it was already in the second quarter. Now, the Suns were not playing great against the Oklahoma City Thunder at first. As a matter of fact, they were down at one point, 37-23. But then Ayton checks in and it makes an immediate impact. He checked in the second quarter, and once he got in the game, they rallied back, and by halftime, they actually took the lead 65-64, and they ended up winning the game 128-101. And it's obvious that Ayton made a huge impact on that comeback, and he's an important part of that team. But the question that I have is, what happened with the COVID test? How is there that kind of a mix-up?
Well, it can't be anything that's like too bad, because the team was working with him to try to get him his test and try to get him on the court. So if it was a disciplinary thing, in a sense of if he missed it for some other reason, I would think that they might be like, yeah, just sit this one out, bud, like you're tripping. But it looked like something, maybe he did sleep over and they don't really care, but that's like your dream as an athlete, where you're like, you check in, you take off your stuff, you check in, your team needs you, and you're like, all right, guys, let's win. And then they actually win. So good for him. I know that probably had to be a great feeling.
He was the #1 pick overall in 2018. And like Evan said, they are fighting with 3 or 4 other teams to get into that 8th spot. So they need to win these games. So maybe even if he did do something that they weren't thrilled with, like oversleeping, I think they would give him a pass, because he is just such a stud on the basketball court, and they need him.
If I was on the Suns at this point, I would have a guy banging on his door in his room, or at least with him like a shadow, a couple hours before the COVID test, so he doesn't have this kind of an issue moving forward. He's clearly
yeah, because I was thinking like, okay, so everyone took it on Sunday, right? And he had to take his on Monday. So that means like even if he overslept for 30 minutes, he still didn't even take it on Sunday. So to me, that seems like something is going on there with the team and him, because he missed the whole day?
Yeah, but look, the Suns are on fire right now. They're undefeated in the bubble right now, aren't they?
Shouts to Devin Booker. That boy is going crazy in the bubble. Woo!
Yeah. I mean, Devin Booker, I think, is emerging. I mean, is he the biggest winner out of this bubble situation? If you think about all the players who are having a good bubble experience so far, I mean, he's the one. Kyle Kuzma also obviously had a
Michael Porter Jr. is killing it.
Yeah.
But I think the big star right now that everyone's talking about is Devin Booker. I mean, this guy is just playing out of his mind.
And another story in connection to Devin Booker is how Draymond Green just got fined $50,000 for telling Devin Booker to get out of Phoenix if he wants to be a winner. So that ended up being a big deal, because Draymond Green was a guest analyst on NBA on TNT, and he was just giving his analyst opinion, and they fined him for it. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. But I get the tampering thing, but like, what can you say as an athlete if you can't say your opinion?
Do you think he has a point? Do you think he needs to get out of Phoenix and get to a bigger market if he truly wants to grow into the huge star that he's capable of becoming?
Evan, I just told you Draymond got fined $50,000. I don't even want to answer questions like that if that's what the tag is going to be. So unless y'all are paying my fine, I ain't answering.
Evan got you. Don't worry, Renee.
The answer is Draymond Green is wrong, because Draymond Green doesn't know the power of the Kardashians. And I'm just being real with you guys. The fact of the matter is, Devin Booker is young, and he's now connected to Kendall Jenner. And Kendall Jenner is one of the biggest stars on the planet. I know that sounds ridiculous when I say that, but it's absolutely true. Her sister's a billionaire. Her other sister's a global icon at this point. I mean, the family's super famous. They bring the kind of exposure that teams and players only dream of. Devin Booker, just by being associated with Kendall Jenner, can grow into a bigger star than somebody that has his talent.
Or he can be super famous, Evan, but can Kendall Jenner help Devin Booker win basketball games in Phoenix?
And whoa, guys, how do y'all know that they'll be dating next year? Y'all are making like long-term plans for this relationship. Like, yeah, Kendall Jenner will build up the program.
Are you saying the Kardashians and the Jenners don't have long-term relationship with athletes?
I'm saying you can't assume any relationship is going to be a long-term one. You guys are like, yeah, they'll build it up. Think about it from a business. I'm just saying the Kardashian family turned Chris Humphries into a household name, and he was a great basketball player by any stretch. But Devin Booker is truly great, and that combined with that name, I think the star power is out of the book. Welcome back to the show. My name is Evan, along with Michael J. Babcock.
What's up?
Renee Montgomery.
Hello.
Take a look at this video of Jonas Suspense getting down at a salsa club with a very attractive young lady. Two of them dancing around. Look at the moves, right? This is all well and good if this was a normal time in the world, but it's not. It's the COVID pandemic. And Jonas Suspense just opted out of the Major League Baseball season. Remember, he went missing in action with the New York Mets after playing on Saturday. He went missing in action on Sunday and then told the team eventually, I'm opting out because I have fears of COVID. Well, it turns out that just a couple of weeks before he opted out, there were no fears, because here he is at a Cuban restaurant, salsa dancing in Garden City, New York. And we are told from people inside the club that there were a ton of people in the restaurant. I know it doesn't look like it in his video, but Babcock, you spoke to people that were there. What are you hearing?
Yeah, they said the restaurant was absolutely packed, Evan. The reason it doesn't look like it's very crowded is because laws in New York City right now, the dance floor was shut down. Jonas Suspense is famous and wealthy and all that stuff. Very popular in the city, so they actually allowed him to dance. But the point is that he was in a crowded restaurant without a mask, seemingly with no concerns about COVID-19, only weeks before he opted out of the entire season with the New York Mets because he was scared of COVID, supposedly.
So this is very interesting to me. And the reason it's interesting is because Gilbert Arenas dropped some nuggets on us about how the NBA players are handling the bubble and their frustrations with the bubble. And so now you see a baseball player opt out. Obviously, he could be scared of COVID. But if you see him at a restaurant 2 weeks earlier dancing with his lady friend, I don't know. Maybe Gilbert Arenas isn't as crazy as I laughed really hard when Gilbert Arenas said it. But now that I'm watching more and more things unfold, I'm like, Gilbert Arenas might be onto something.
Here's the thing, though. I don't believe that he was just like, longing for some booty. I think that what this really is deeper issues with the Mets, because he was partying at the restaurant a couple of weeks before, and then The day that he opted out on that Sunday, he went missing. He didn't report to the Mets, and then he popped up at a mall in New York. He was at a shopping spree at Louis Vuitton. So I don't think that there are serious COVID concerns here. I think that he just was using this again is my opinion, as an excuse to just try and get away from the Mets because there seems to be some friction there. Babcock, you know more about this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Jonas Suspense was not happy. If you listen to many baseball insiders, was not happy with the position he was playing on the Mets, where he was batting in the lineup, how frequently he was playing. And people believe that Jonas Suspense saw an opportunity for him to bail on this season, and he used COVID-19 as an excuse to get out of Dodge. But I can tell you that most everybody does not believe Jonas Suspense, and the reason he played was because he was scared of the virus.
Babcock, do you think that there's a chance that he ever suits up in a Mets uniform again, or is that ship sailed?
No, he will never suit up. There is no chance. I have a better chance of playing for the Mets again than Jonas Suspense. The question now is, does Jonas Suspense ever put on a Major League Baseball uniform again? And I think that's 50-50 at best.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Evan, along with Michael J. Babcock.
What's up?
Two-time WNBA champion Renee Montgomery.
Hello.
Man, Drake dropped a brand new music video late Thursday night, and it's starring some of the most famous athletes in the world. It's all for a video called Laugh Now, Cry Later. And the premise of the video, it starts off at like the Nike headquarters in Oregon, and he pulls up in this really sweet car, and then as soon as he pulls up and he starts walking into the facility, bang, Kevin Durant's there, Odell Beckham is there, Marshawn Lynch is there, and there's Drake playing one-on-one with Kevin Durant. He's catching passes with Odell Beckham. As a matter of fact, they replicate Odell's famous one-handed catch from back in the day. That's Drake running the routes right there. My favorite part right here is when he catches the ball. Here comes the cameo from Marshawn. Go sound up.
And
off the block.
Marshawn comes out of nowhere and blindsides him like Terry Tate offers linebacker, and then he talks crap to him on the way out. The video is pretty great, though. There are a bunch of great moments. He replicates the famous Muhammad Ali underwater training session. He hits baseballs. He's running on a treadmill. I mean, Drake, I feel like, is one of those guys that is very successful at being a musician, but deep down really wished he was a professional athlete instead.
Yeah, Drake has a line. He says, I swear sports and entertainment are synonymous because we want to be them and they want to be us. And so basically, he literally lived out his dream. Drake doesn't make music videos. We have to get this clear. He makes films. Like, this is a film. Like, you could watch this. And the soundtrack is just whatever song he's releasing. Like, he did one with Chris Brown. It's a whole production of film. Drake lives out his fantasies through his music, and I love it. I love his music. Don't drink and Drake, but I love his music.
Like, as cool as this is for Drake, I feel like it's probably also that cool for Odell and for Marshawn and KD, because they get to kind of live out their lives as musicians, being a Drake music video. So it's kind of like everyone's switching roles. And I just think it's a great video. I love this thing. Renee's right. Like, Drake's music videos are the best. That was, I think, No Guidance with Chris Brown. It's like movies, and nobody does it bigger or better than Drizzy, and I'm on board for it.
Other than Beyonce, can't just.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, Beyonce, shouts to Black is King.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Evan, along with Michael J. Babcock.
What's up?
WNBA superstar Renee Montgomery.
Hello.
We're going to talk about a headbutt. You might have seen this on Tuesday. Giannis Antetokounmpo got into it with Mo Wagner of the Washington Wizards. And in the second quarter of their game, there was a little trash talk. There was a little people up in people's faces. And Giannis, who's one of the best players, if not the best player in the NBA right now, he's an absolute stud, decided to use his forehead as a weapon. Give a little clink right to Wagner's face right there. Wagner went down hard. Looked like he was acting it up a little bit, trying to play it up a little bit. But the NBA decided to step in, and they have suspended Giannis for one game. One game for a headbutt. It looked like Zinedine Zidane from the World Cup a bunch of years ago. Remember that guy threw the headbutt, and the guy acted, and he flailed all over the place like it was the worst thing that ever happened to him. But that changed the course of the World Cup. Is this headbutt going to change the course of the NBA playoffs, the bubble situation? And Renee, I got to know, have you ever been headbutted in a WNBA game before?
Absolutely not. And to answer your first question, it's not going to change the course because they only suspended him for one game, which I'm actually happy about. I want to get back to the old NBA where they might punch somebody in the face and just get suspended one game. I'm here for that. I told you I like when people don't like each other in sports. It makes for better sports. We saw what happened with Damian Lillard when people tried him. We see what happened. So I'm here for all of that. Maybe not the headbutting, of course, but I like when guys have this chip on their shoulder about each other. As far as WNBA has had some scuffles, nothing Rumble in the Jungle-esque like the Detroit days. We didn't have nothing like that. But, Candace Parker's gotten a couple of I want to punch you matches, but it doesn't really happen. There's a Dinah Taurasi, but we haven't had any headbutts in the WNBA that I'm aware of.
Who is the one woman in the WNBA that you're like, don't mess with that chick? Like, that's the one that will mess you up. She's not to be trifled with. Who is that?
That would be Dinah Taurasi. I think that she.
Oh, really?
She really don't care. I like. She's one of them people that like she'll get thrown. She will gladly cuss a ref out to get what she has to say out and get thrown out. So somebody that doesn't care that much, you never mess with somebody that don't care because they're ready to roll. So I'd have to go with I don't really mess with Diana because she's savvy too. She'll catch you in an elbow when nobody's looking.
Oh, really?
She's one not in a dirty way, but it's like I call it it's savvy. I don't because I'm not offended when it happens to me. I'm like, yeah, that was a good one. You got me. You got me. Yeah, you got me.
Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
There is new video in the death of George Floyd, and it is dramatic and revealing. This is a different perspective. It is the body cam of the officer who had been standing by. You certainly saw a video of him standing. Well, this is his body cam. This is George Floyd being put in a car and then yanked out of a car eventually as bystanders look and become increasingly alarmed and then horrified as they see what happened.
Right. So you see this angle for the first time of George Floyd when he's initially placed on the ground. But then the officer whose body cam we're looking at here, he goes over to start doing the crowd control. This is Officer Tao, now ex-Officer Tao, who was doing quote unquote crowd control, and a large group. We've heard these voices. We've never seen their faces. And it is really remarkable to see how worried, panicked, and concerned. I mean, and I'll watch this and what is clear is that they know that they are watching a man die and they are trying their best. And you will see the horror on their faces as they try and plead with the police, in particular Officer Tao, to do something about it.
You try to put this breathing right there, bro. Okay. Like, you don't think that what it is, bro? You don't think nobody understands that right there, bro? I trained at the academy, bro. That's some bro.
You did? Okay.
Right.
And you
bro.
All right.
That's bro. Stopping his breathing right there, bro.
Okay, he's talking. It's hard to talk when you...
bro, but
it's hard to...
Ground. You're in a bump right now. You can get him off the ground, bro.
I'm a firefighter. Okay, you wouldn't know.
He's not responsive right now. He's not responsive right now, bro.
Does he have a pulse?
No, bro, look at him. He's not responsive right now, bro.
Check for a pulse.
Bro, are you serious? He's gonna just let him sit there with that on his neck, bro?
Off him. What are you doing?
Bro, 3 minutes, bro. He's not moving.
He's dying. On him. Bro, see that he's not.
Bro, he's not even moving. Get off of his neck, bro.
Charles, I got to tell you something. When you see this, it is remarkable because now that you watch this, it's not just officers doing it. You have a chorus.
They're not doing this in a
chorus of people who are saying the right thing. Even one guy who, it sounds like this guy was in the police academy because he says that's not what the academy teaches. But whatever, you see all these people making it very clear you're killing him. And all you hear is this folly of somebody, one of the officers saying, well, if he can talk, he can breathe, which is ridiculous because you can talk until you can't. But the fact that they're so exercised and horrified and angry, I think really underscores how
what the officers were doing did not happen in a vacuum.
And that takes away the excuse that they didn't know. A lot of officers are trying to say that, this is the technique. Maybe they didn't know, if you put the knee too high, then that's what happens. But clearly this was understood. It was raised. The attention was raised. There's somebody that said, I trained at the academy. there was a firefighter, and she was saying, just check his pulse. They were trying to actually reason with the police officers. It's just a disturbing video to watch over again. It's like we're triggered. This is PTSD. It's unacceptable. There's nothing else to say. This is unacceptable.
And you know, Renee, one of the things that really struck me, at one point, you hear somebody in the crowd say, you've been doing this for 3 minutes. So when I heard the 3 minutes, I thought we were 8 minutes in already. They were only 3 minutes in. And you saw the alarm.
And imagine how, like, you know, we all know time. 8 minutes is a long time. You know, a long time for you not to be able to breathe. You know, the cop said, well, if he's talking, he can breathe. I know that that's something that they're taught in the police academy because I've asked that question before, but that needs to be changed to them because what he's using with his last breath is to tell you he can't breathe. So it's just so disturbing to watch. And then you almost, what about the people watching that? I'm sure that they'll never be the same seeing that.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, like you said, this did not happen in a vacuum. There are scores of voices standing there yelling that they can see it. So, and they're standing, 10 feet away, and they can see it. And the people who are actually on this man are ignoring what they can obviously see.
Charles, and they can hear this.
Right.
Just the idea that you've got a chorus of people telling Chauvin, you are killing him. And then all you hear back is, well, he can talk so he can breathe, which is, again, ridiculous because we've seen enough to know that people talk until they can't. They say they can't breathe until they can't talk. And it's a process. And this process takes way less than 8 minutes and 46 seconds. But here you have it.
I have a question, Harvey. These people are standing there watching, and we know the names of some of them, in particular, the 17-year-old girl, Darnell, who was the one who shot the original video we all saw. Will they be called to testify in the trial?
Well, I think they could be.
Or do they just use the video?
I'll tell you why I think they're so relevant. Because when you listen to the officers' defenses here, they are saying, it's in line with police protocol. They're trying to just do what police protocol is. When you bring these people in, the element of humanity where somebody is saying, you're killing him, and you realize they can hear it, but Chauvin is still doing it. I think it's really, really relevant because it goes beyond what the police practices may or may not be. It's you're dealing with a human being that you're about to kill, and everybody is making that clear to you, and you're not moved by it. You're not moved emotionally, and you're not moved physically.
And to piggyback real quick off of that, this is not their first offense. So it's not like this is an outlier. These guys had a clean record and they're always usually doing good. This is not their first offense. So that lets you understand the mentality of these guys. No, of course they didn't care what those people were saying. They've done it before. You know, maybe not killed someone, but they've had offenses before. So
Chauvin in particular definitely had a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chauvin at 18.
Chauvin at 18. Although there was at least one of the officers who was a rookie, right? So there was this.
There was one that was on for 4 days.
And
the bystanders are relevant.
This is Kim Rogers in St. Louis, Missouri on the George Floyd new Bodycam story. And I honestly couldn't breathe myself just watching it. So I couldn't even imagine being there live and actually witnessing this horrific handling and wrongdoing. Nobody should be treated like this. And it just breaks my heart for all of us as a human race.
Absolutely. Hey, Charles, before we move on, I just want to clarify something because I'm not sure I got that right. When you asked me if the bystanders would be called, I'm not sure, as I thought about it, whether you even need to call them. This is Tao's body cam. They're going to play the body cam, and it is what it is. So the jury is going to hear these people imploring Chauvin.
The only thing I would say, though, Harvey, yes, they see the video, but if you have them on the stand,
yeah, they might.
Someone is driven to tears while they're testifying.
Yeah, they might.
Powerful.
But that's also powerful.